Welcome in, Cube Show, College Football Podcast, coming to you on a Sunday again. I think that's 2 in a row. Going to talk more college football today, talk SEC today, a couple position groups we have not done. And I'm not going to try to do them. Was going to try to go SEC defensive backs, corners, and safeties with Roman Harper. I think I could probably go safeties. Corners, I'm not even going to try to do that to y'all because technically, fundamentally, I don't know the position the way that the people who really know that position do, and also don't watch it as closely as other people do to give you my top 5. So we're not going to do that on this show and act like we know everything about things that we don't know everything about. We do know that Wickles Pickles is amazing, though. We have those. They sponsor the show. Title sponsor the show. This weekend, I cooked some Conecuh with the Wickles Pickles, put the toothpick in it. Is a 4th of July go-to. Handed some out to the neighbors. They absolutely loved it. Said that's going to be on their list next year. But if you got Wickles around the house and you got some Conecuh around the house, cook it, toothpick in both, bam, flavor explosion in your mouth. It's like a firework in your mouth. You're going to love it. Go to wicklespickles.com. If you don't have them in your store, tell them you need them and you love them and you want them. And if you see them on a recipe at a restaurant, order that item just because they have Wickles Pickles. They're amazing. We snack on them. We love them here in this house. So what we're going to do is bring in Roman Harper today. You've seen us Monday nights, Read and React. It's my guy. Love him. Love talking football with him. I mean, we could sit here and do what we did today for 20 hours plus, like just go about random football stuff. It's fun. It's a little bit lighter. It's not super technical, but you're going to learn about football and you're going to learn about how to play DB and you're going to learn about how to watch DBs and defenses play football because a lot of us that grow up on the offensive side, we don't really know all that. So here's a conversation with Roman Harper of the SEC Network. All right. Hopefully you know us from Read and React on the SEC Network Monday nights. If not, you need to watch it. At least I hope we're back. I think we're back.
That's a great start. I don't know if we're back either.
What do you want me to say? I don't really know what to say. Roman Harper, my go-to for everything DB. So, Roman, I've been doing top 5 at each position groups around the league. I think I might be able to get away with safety, kind of. I'm not even going to try corner because that would just be dumb for me to try to say, like, the top 5 cornerback groups in the league. Like, I don't really know what I'm talking about. So that's why I bring you on. And this is what's so cool about doing the show with you on Mondays, because I'll show you something that I see and you're like, man, I didn't really notice that. I didn't watch that way. And then we watch it together and you're like, you're absolutely right. And then I'll ask you something about a defense and you're like, well, no, they had trap coverage here and the safety's got to watch the tight end on the out. And if his eyes take him here, then the corner's got to bail. And I'm like, you might as well be speaking French. So take us through first and foremost, when you're watching back film, like defensive back play, where do our eyes need to be in order to actually know what's happening? Like, how do we need to watch it to have an idea of how it's all working?
Well, the first thing I would tell you is stop watching the ball. That's the first thing I would tell you is don't watch the ball. You look at formations, you look at body language, where guys are at, where they're leaning. I try and tell you that sometimes too. Yeah. Just like, well, no, he's got this. Just you can just tell by his body language what he's supposed to be doing. And so formations and then body language of where guys are at, whether they're going forward in a safety position where now I'm playing in a lower zone or cover 3 or coming down, dropping down in man-to-man coverage or a low zone versus bailing out, getting over the top. Also corners where they're tilted at can position-wise, like their first couple steps, are they playing man or are they playing in a cover 3 outside bail zone versus cover 4? You know, are they really a hard cover 2 corner where now they're trying to strike and shuffle and expand the wide receiver? Like all these things in the first couple seconds, that's what I always look at. And then off of that, I'll go forward as well with looking at the linebackers, how they react, and also the D linemen. Because Cole, I don't call it a defense unless it has specific characteristics. You got to have an edge. It's got to be gap sound. Everybody has to be, have a man, or guys have to be accounted for in certain areas of zone. You can have more guys than we can cover, but still areas have to be accounted for. Or if you're not one of those times, which I talk about that, like they're just calling plays. Yeah. Which, I see some coordinators, they just call plays. They're playing the game within the game. They're trying to guess. And sometimes they guess right. And then other times they guess wrong, and it looks really bad.
So that's one thing cool I think you just said there is like you won't call it a defense until you know all these things. And there'll be times when you and I are watching something or talking about something and you're convinced at the snap of the football, let's just say it's cover 3.
Yeah.
And then we'll watch 2 or 3 seconds, 3 or 4 times, and you're like, hold on. No, it can't be cover 3 because corner would have stayed outfield this time, or that linebacker's not going to be coming out there in the flat if it's cover 3. So maybe it's like a cover 4, but then usually when you tell me what it is, there's like 8 parentheses of what it actually might be. So it's like, well, it's cover 2, but, and then there's 11 things that it's a but. So like, how many defenses are definitive this day and age? Like, how many are cover 2, cover 4, cover 1, whatever? Like, and how many of them are just whatever the offense dictates them to be based on what the original call was?
Okay, great. So I totally understand what you're saying, and somebody that doesn't know football might not at all. But so yeah, it's different examples of it. I can play a hard cover 2, or sometimes it's a floating 2, right? Where we're playing it, but we're waiting on it to come to us down the field. I'm not really worried about the flat, so it's a floating cover 2. Some people call it palms, or you have a red 2, which means I'm in the red zone. You play that differently than you do regular cover 2. Certain type principles, but different mindsets. Then you also got, quarters, but which is 4 guys in the back, all split up in quarters. Everybody's got a quarter of the field. But then like when you got 3 receivers, you can do box, or sometimes you can double it in when you got a nickel or linebacker into play, especially we're doing like more match principles where like I got 1 versus 2 and 3 of our threats. So it's on a number system versus, it's just different ways where I'm playing like a true zone where we're all just zoned it out. Like all these things matter. That's the body language too, because you'll see guys do hand signals. And I know what that hand signal means, because defenses, we ain't got time to be sexy. We ain't got time to be creative. You just do the same thing because we got to get lined up and ready to play. So because we don't get to control the snap count. So you just got to talk. It doesn't matter if the offense knows. If they know the play, it doesn't matter. As long as we know, like we can still kick their ass. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if they know. You can still go out there and whoop the guy in front of you and still win the play defensively. So that's where I get into all these things where I start talking too much football jargon for TV call. But
all right, so let's go back real quick here.
We have these conversations.
Let's go the difference in,
because here I'll give you an example. So like Georgia, you know what they're doing. Georgia's running cover 2. They're running some track coverages with like 2 to the flat. They're rolling they're going to roll us out of the safety and the backside safety, roll to a side. If they blitz a corner, they're going to have a hard corner. Like that safety's now going to be the flat defender. Backside safety's going to roll over the top, and they're going to play almost like, a floating cover 2 coverage. So if number 2 goes out to the flat, the guy that's in the flat is going to jump it. Safety's going to roll over the top, but they also got an inside defender that's going to take any inside breaking route by number 2 or quick number 1. Then all of a sudden the safety can stand up. Now the safety's inside of number 2. It's just a rotating coverage. So that flat defender is now going to be outside of the newer outside receiver, or outside threat. So it's like all these things are happening, and then you blitzing off of one side, you're playing man or something on the other side. Alabama's a different secondary piece right now under this new defensive coordinator. They're doing a lot of different things where now they'll show 3 across in the back, but that safety may be rolling to like buzz into a hook player right here, or this safety's doing like going to a flat. They're rotating guys and having them move in different places. Alabama's playing a lot more true zone defense, and so maybe not as much matchup play as Georgia or what the old Alabama teams used to do, or teams that prefer that, like a Tennessee. Tennessee likes playing a match zone principles as well. So it's just different ways to skin a cat. It's all about philosophy.
You love Alabama's new principles on coverage, right?
No, I don't. I don't like their eyes. And it's only because Alabama's secondary, they play a lot more eyes on the quarterback. And I think that helps you make plays, but it's like math, right? You only got half the equation. So you may get the answer right, but you don't have everything, all the pieces to the equation, which the other piece of the equation to me is the most important, which is the wide receiver, or the guy that's running the route in your zone. Yeah. If you don't look at him, how do you know he's there? So you're kind of just playing, and then I'm looking at the quarterback, hoping he throws me the ball. But the NFL quarterbacks that I got used to playing against, Like, they never throw you the ball. You have to see the ball and your guy and then go get the ball. So I just think it's, they're not getting all the information they want. I know you wanted me to say that, Cole. So, yeah, and I'm not running from that, Cole. You know how I feel about this.
Been very
You know
clear
how I
about
feel.
it.
So until they show me differently, this is how I feel. And I'm hoping that the second year, it's better.
But Kane calls it vision coverage. That's some of what they do. So I mean, it's just how they run it. Let's go to.
It's exactly how they run it, vision. But do you see the man?
I guess not. Technically, no. All right, go back to what you said. Cover 2, red zone and middle of the field. What would be your difference there? You said principles the same, but how you played a little bit different. Obviously, red zone, you're not as concerned about guys getting over the top. So what? You're just more aggressive with how you play.
Correct. And also, it's so if it's also like this. So it's red means number one, the corner has to play it differently. That means the corner has number one all the way to the goal line. He's got number one. If number one's vertical.
Let me stop you there real quick for the people listening that don't understand. So because you said number 2 earlier, I had that written down. That's how you designate eligible receivers. You guys, it's a number system for you guys on defense.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So 1 is the furthest guy, 2 is the next available threat, usually to that side of tight end or wide receiver. And then you have number 3, which is like trips or could be the running back to that side. Or number 2 from the other side comes across and now it makes it 3 to one side. It's only 5 eligible guys. So you got 1, 2, 3, or you got 1, 2, 1, 2. Just and 3 somewhere in the middle, or however you want to do it. But yes. So that's how defensively we break it down.
Like, what system would you really enjoy playing in the SEC right now? Just based on
last year, I said it was South Carolina. I love what South Carolina does.
Clayton does an awesome job.
Yeah, they're aggressive. They play principles and quarters and a lot more match stuff that I like to see. They do a good mix of man versus zone, which what people don't understand. I played in a lot of man-to-man defenses. You get less interceptions in man-to-man defenses because your eyes are always watching the man that you're covering. So I'm running with this guy, and then I got to be able to see. He's got to be able to indicate to me that the ball's coming. I got to see that, turn and find the ball and be able to catch it. And I'm already a DB, so I don't catch the ball as well as wide receivers. The quarterback's also not throwing it to me. People don't understand this. It's a lot harder when they're not throwing it to you. Just trust me. All right? The ball is just different. So that part of it. And if a wide receiver hits me, I'm definitely not catching it. Like, I'm not built to catch it through contact, Cole. I'm just being honest. If I ever landed or hit wrong, I ain't built like that. But anyways, so that's a different. But then versus zone, I see the ball in the air, so I'm able to just play my zone and go make plays on the ball. South Carolina does a great job of that. And they had a great salty D-line last year, too. Yeah. So that was last year. I think this year I may have to change my vote. But as far as last year's, what Clayton, those guys are doing down in South Carolina, I love what they do. Salty defense.
Hey, guys, don't forget about my friends at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for the free consultation. If you lack energy, if you're lacking sleep, if you're just not feeling good, if you want to drop some weight, they have multiple weight loss programs. But what they're going to do for you first is give you that free consultation. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for that right now. Free PSA test, free testosterone test, and they're going to help you see exactly where your baseline of health is. Then they can help answer those questions and tell you different ways that they can get you right. That's what they want to do, is get you feeling better. They can do it at Game Day Men's Health. Listen, this is a holistic approach to health and wellness. Yeah, they got multiple weight loss programs, peptides back in stock now for arthritis, anti-aging, gut health, skincare, better sleep, whatever that is. Those can also help you at the same time. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. Go get the free PSA test, the free testosterone test, and then see what they can do for you. Multiple ways to help. They just want to help you live better. It's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, you mentioned a couple different areas of physicality right there. And I was going to go there with you at some point anyway, so I'll do it now. Like, there's a kid in Missouri, Marvin Burks, that we love watching because, like, I don't even really know if he's great in coverage or not because I don't care, because he's going to come down and literally sacrifice his body to try to blow somebody up on almost every play. Those guys are dinosaurs now. Like, they're extinct. It's very rare to find one. I know a lot of it is today's offenses. You can't have, like, I considered you a thumper back when you played for the most part, like the Brian Dawkins, the Steve Atwaters, the Ronnie Lotts, like the Eric Berrys, like they're kind of gone. Does that hurt you sometimes to know that like there's just not a lot of safeties that are willing to put their bodies on the line, and maybe some of it too is they're just not allowed to hit the way that they were.
There we go. There we
You
go.
got to
To
be
me,
careful with what you do.
yeah. Yeah, that's the real piece to me is I think thumping and wanting to smack people still is out there. You just can't do it anymore. They don't want it in the game. And of course, in college, I complain about it all the time. You know, it's the only rule in any sport that I know where you punish the amateur more than you do professionals.
Yeah.
Like amateur kids are getting kicked out of games. That means you get less reps, you get less opportunities to mess it up or to actually get it right. You know, I messed up one time, and then and there's still judgment calls too. It's not like they're 100% like, oh, that's definitely a call, or you know, and so I don't like that. So I think that part of it's kind of adjusted it, and I mean, offenses are hard to stop now, and they want points, they want to do all these other things, and I still don't like it because wide receivers just lay there like they're hurt, or quarterback slid too late, and nobody, you know, then the flag comes in, and everybody's like, "Why would he do that? It's such a boneheaded play." I'm like, "Tell the mother sucker to slide, all right? Protect himself. Like, why am I like in charge of protecting that guy when the offensive lineman that's blocking me into the portal or the locker room over here, everybody's celebrating that."
What's wrong with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly,
We
exactly.
celebrate that.
Yeah, where's that flag at? And you know this, Cole. I get so angry. It bothers me so bad. Offensive guys just get to just do whatever they want to people, all out of bounds, and everybody celebrates it. Look at the effort. Look at the nasty, the effort, and like defensive guys. We gotta if we don't pull up before somebody maybe gets a first down in a game of inches. That's what we call it, game of inches. And like we're the dumbheads, we're the dummies, the bonehead got boneheaded play. It's okay. I'm not.
But
mad.
it's a lot of it too that we've kind of had to change what safety is, and it's got to be a lot more coverage. So it's got to be kind of lighter, sleeker, faster, instead of coming down and run support and a lot of that. Like, I mean, you look at Alex Safari at Kentucky, he's playing linebacker now. I mean, that dude's been a career safety, but it shows you where it's all kind of going. Is that another reason that we've kind of gotten to that point, you think?
I don't think so specifically. I think the game is going more air. Like everybody just throws the ball more.
Yeah.
It's more spread. And so you need guys that can move. And so I've seen this shift even in the NFL where now linebackers that used to be 250 something, Pepper Johnson, right, are now 230, 235 because they got to run.
We don't even see many guys that are 225 anymore.
Yeah, it's more of a space game. And so now you're going with more positionless football, where now, just like I said early on the number system, I need a guy that can be able to cover whoever's at number 2, all right, in the slot, maybe help on number 3, but then also be able to set an edge on a defense and better not be scared to go fill a gap when a guard pulls because nobody can just go cut guys anymore. So I got to be able to stand up a guard or a tackle or a fullback or a tight end coming out there to block me, but then also be available and be able to, you know, cover my own in space in pass situations as well. Or then you know, this is what, or you end up being like what LSU was last year at times on defense, where you don't know what you want to do with Harold Perkins. So is he a nickel or is he a linebacker? Or now you got Burns coming in at the nickel. Well, every time I knew Harold Perkins was out there, it's either zone or he's blitzing because he ain't playing man-to-man coverage. So it makes it easier for the offense to know what that is as well. So these are the positionless football. The more I can get of the, you know, maybe a Roman Harper type or some other linebacker type, you know, Thomas Davis type, where he can play linebacker, but he can actually manage and hold up in space in short areas. Then you got somebody like me that can play in the back half as well, but then still have the ability to not lose too much in versus the run game. That's what everybody's looking for. That's why you got guys that can move down and, you know, we bring more cornerback guys that normally be corner. You can let them play at safety.
Probably best humble brag we've ever had on this show. I'll throw that out there. But hey, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
That's because I played decent in golf today. That's all.
Well, what'd you shoot today?
I shot a 92, but I mean, dude, I had 5 putts that were like one roll to going in, so it wasn't bad.
All right, so there is maybes in golf, is what you're telling me,
dude. You know what, Cole? Honest to God, dude, I'm having double bogey issues. Like, I'm addicted to a double bogey on a par five. Like, and that's the worst time to get one.
It's tough to do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get 2 or 3 around. This is like big. I'd rather have the double bogey on a par three than
Maybe
the
go
double
down a
bogey.
club off the tee box.
Dude, it's not even off the tee box. It's like something in between the tee box and the five.
I can't
Yeah.
help you with that then. I mean, I don't even know.
I don't even know if you're a golfer, Cole. It's okay.
Well, sorry, since we were actually supposed to talk about some of these defenses,
Yeah.
LSU this year, let's say they're healthy. So you got Whit Weeks, who I know you love and is like the ultimate kamikaze pilot, like just see ball, get ball, shoot gap, get gap, cause problems. But then you also got Perkins over there that, like you said, when he's able to do one or two things, he's really good. But can he do the other things that you need to do on, the other 40 downs in a game? Maybe not. How do they manage this? If they're both healthy, like what do you think?
They play the same position. So, Cole, remember I told you, as soon as Harold Perkins got hurt, I'm like, bro, they're going to be maybe better because Whit Weeks is going to play. Oh, who's Whit Weeks? I'm like, he's this kid that just shows up. I don't know. He's just,
Makes
you
plays.
know, he just makes plays. He's got great instincts. He's a linebacker. And so that's going to be LSU's biggest, for me, that's the thing I got to know about LSU. It's, especially on the defense side specifically. It's like, how do you get your two best players that play the same position or that they did play the same position? How do you get them on the field at the same time and be effective, right? Ultimately, we still got to be effective. And so what does that look like? I don't know what that is. Harold Perkins has to play some kind of way. He's too effective. He's too much of a game changer.
Yeah.
By the way, how fast he plays, he just plays at a different level, and he does things that nobody else can do on that field. But then at the same time, Whit Weeks makes all these plays as well. But then how do we have these two guys and not show our hand with the rest of the defense? You still have to be able to play defense. And so the same thing I said earlier was that every time I look outside and I see Harold Perkins, I know he's not playing man versus a slot receiver. So it's zone. I got to figure it out after the ball is snapped, or he's blitzing. And so all these things, Blake Baker has to try and figure that out. If they do that, they brought in a ton of talent, bro. Like I give those guys, LSU's a scary looking team on paper, They look great.
Still got to hand the
paper.
ball off too. So
that's that dilemma on the other side. I was just thinking of defense. We can talk about it, Cole.
I know.
We can talk about it. Like I'm down to talk about it because it's a couple things that LSU
interesting there, and it was disguise. And I know there are certain defenses that are really good at it, but based on how much movement there is now pre-snap in all of football, because now you got, like, I remember when Al Borges was at Auburn. He's running the Gulf Coast offense, I think they called it. And it was like offset eye, but you never knew that's what they're going to run the play in. Like that was never going to happen. And so now Ronnie Brown goes back to tailback. Cadillac shifts out the slot. The tight end goes from wide receiver, comes back in, and it's a totally different formation. You get that with almost every offense now. Like somebody's going to line up somewhere else. And I'm talking like from one position to another, like tailback to tight end, fullback to slot. It's not just one receiver from here to there. It's totally different formations. And then guys go from one place to another. Is disguise almost out the window now in college football? Like how serious can it be with how reactionary you have to be to how much movement there is pre-snap?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on the players. Because you got to be smart. And ultimately,
South Carolina's so good. I mean, you had safeties that had played a ton of football last year.
Yeah, like ultimately, guys, you got to have somebody smart in the middle. Which South Carolina, what was my grown man from Georgia Tech last year? The transfer linebacker that came in, he got drafted too.
Demetrius Knight.
Yeah, there we go.
Most interesting man in the SEC.
There we go. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. You told me all these interesting facts.
He's been on the podcast. He's an awesome interview. If you hadn't heard it, go get it.
Love it. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Cole. How about that? Humble brag yourself. All right. So look, you got to be able to get lined up. I also am a believer in, like, and it's hard to do in college, Cole, but, handing the reins over to your players ultimately, you have a big shift. You got to reload the defense. You got to get guys lined up. We got to reload the defense, then be ready for a shift or a motion, right? So once the shift happens, the motion can after that. You can't shift and then shift again. They don't usually do that. They have one big shift. And then you'll have a
Then a
motion and then
Yeah.
something, after that. So you got to be able to adjust. And then, some coaches don't like their defenses being messed with. So that's a personal thing. Versus some teams, they're like, as soon as you see it, let's check it and get us into something that we want to be into whenever you see these big shifts or motions happens. Everybody runs their defenses so differently now because, all these coaches got ego, Cole. You know that. So, that's just part of the deal too. Who's going to allow their players to run it because they're actually the ones that got to execute it and play it versus who ultimately won't let their hands out of it.
So what would be the hardest part of, well, first off, I was going to ask you when you were saying all that. So do you think the communication in the helmet would have helped you or would have been, I know surface level, it would help everybody. But what I think a lot of people don't understand when they have that conversation, maybe some folks that didn't play or didn't play a position that required a lot of communication is that's great on the front end, but it's not as great once you've learned everything because then you just know it and it's reactionary. Like when I was playing center, if I'd have had somebody in my ear right away, that would have been great and I wouldn't have been as good right away. But after I learned it, it all would have been better because now I'm paying attention to safeties. I'm looking at what a corner's doing and I can't get all that in those 15 seconds or whatever it is. So do you think that you would have like towards the end of your either college or NFL career, would have been more beneficial or less beneficial?
I think in my college, it definitely been beneficial just because I didn't even know what the fuck I was looking at. Like dude, I'm just playing, college, college is very slow compared to the NFL just because of the way things happen so fast and how accurate the ball is and how quick the ball comes out. Like, it's just everything's so much faster. So college, just to be like, hey, man, when they're in this formation, like you see this, just to tell somebody like, hey, get outside. And you're like, oh. And the play would just come to you. So I think those things would be a lot faster. But only one person gets the headset. Yeah. And so whoever that is has to be able to handle it. The coach throwing a lot of information at him. Hopefully on the defensive side, you can get your call in and out. So then you can actually communicate to the player that has the headset on what we're at least thinking or wanting to think as a defense for this play, So then you can actually like see it. Oh, hey, 2nd and 8, alert draw. Or such and such, hey, ADO, which means like, hey, defense offsides, just to think about not jumping offsides. Yeah. So just little reminders like this before the situation, because football is all situational football, and just understanding like that. Or, hey, remember this formation they like to do, in 2nd and 8, hey, remember this when you get this. Just a little reminder. Sure. And then we know, we can say bird or rabbit.
Or if you got a young guy in the game, it's like, hey, don't forget, remind Cole in this coverage we're doing this. Like he hadn't played a lot. Like you might not be thinking about telling that guy that. So that's
it.
Little things like that.
Yeah.
You brought up tight ends earlier, and I love this whole moniker of, if you get, I'm trying to think of a guy that we've had recently, like a speedy tight end, like the kid we had at South Carolina last year that we loved, or if you get like a Brock Bowers
before he went to Florida State.
Yeah, well, that was Jaheim Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Last year was very good too.
He was good.
Joshua Simon. Then Brock Bowers, there's no answer to. But I love how people always, when they're talking about safeties, it's like, well, or they talk about tight ends. There's no safety that can cover him. Or they're like, well, he's a safety, he can hit, but can he cover a tight end or a running back? Is there really from a safety perspective, is there really like a super headache guy that you're like, oh, shit, we got no answer for him? I mean, is that a real thing, or is that just kind of like what offensive people in football like to say because it sounds cool?
I think it's more of a thing what offensive people like to say because it sounds cool. 1,000%. You can game plan around anybody, but, a good throw always beats great coverage, but you can cover guys. It's amazing how But a lot of offenses, they're just smart. They try and put their best player in a position to get them matched up versus your weakest player. And in college, people just don't pay enough attention to where their best players are. Like I said, when I was playing Cole, dude, I wasn't paying attention like, oh, okay, this is this player. Like I might need to pay a little bit. I might need to play him just a little bit differently. You know?
That's
You
the
just
other
don't
thing.
think
Like
about those things.
people think everything changes when Randy Moss comes over there. It's like, no, he's just better. Like my fundamentals won't really change. Like there's just nothing we can do about it. Like I can't go from a 4.5 to a 4.2 because 84 is in front of me. I mean,
Yeah. You know what I would tell that person? Can I cuss on this?
you already have, so it's fine. This is the internet.
3 words. 4 words. Sorry, 4 words. Back the fuck up. That's what I would tell him. All right.
You mean like when Randy Moss is on you, back up because he's going to run past you?
Dude, get back. Yes, get back. Why are you even up there? He's gonna run slap by you. Back the F up. That's the 4 words we got for you.
You've heard me talking about Whatnot. If you get back into the trading card game like I am with my 2 boys, get the Whatnot app right there. Bam, hit that. And you're going to go see my friends at Pizza Pulls because I'm going to be on Pizza Pulls every Tuesday opening up new cards. Just go to the search tab there and then put in Pizza Pulls right there. Bam. I'll be running on that every Tuesday, opening up football cards, whether it's the Panini Contenders Optic, whether it's Topps Chrome, Topps Midnight. We got more football coming out soon. College football cards going to be coming out. I've gotten a sneak peek at some of the new Bowman stuff coming out this fall. It's going to be amazing. Every Tuesday, right there at Pizza Pulls. Come hang out with us. We did some resurgence last week with a little bit of contenders on top of that. A lot of different things that we're going to have to open, and we're going to save you money because when you go to the app right here, you go in to get into breaks, you buy 1 or 2 teams or 3 teams or just your team for $25, $15, $8, whatever it is. Hell, $1 sometimes instead of spending $700, $900, $1,500 off a box of cards. They're expensive. The Pizza Pulls and breaking cards this way can help you get back into it and do it the way that you want to. So go see my friends John over at Pizza Pulls. I'll be there every Tuesday. Tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. Download the Pizza Pulls app, or go to pizzapulls.com and see what they can do for you when you're getting back into the game. Who was the toughest matchup you had in the NFL?
Personally, it was probably Tony Gonzalez because he was just a big basketball player and just used his body to out rebounded me all the time.
He could just float it. Like, I mean, he just.
Yeah, and it was just like him and Matt Ryan were pretty good because Matt Ryan always looked for him in crucial situations, and he wasn't fast. He wouldn't like outrun me. And I tried to stay underneath him all the time, and he still just like, it just was very frustrating cover.
Have you heard? I had somebody that was with the Falcons for a while tell me that like the craziest part about Tony Gonzalez was like he didn't come into the NFL super football savvy. That he basically just did what he did, and he was so athletic and so gifted that it just kind of worked, and it changed as obviously he got older. But like early on, they would tell him like exactly what to do. And I guess coverage changed or whatever. He just still did what he did, but he was so good, he just made it work.
I totally believe that. I would have hated to see him when he was young because I got him when he was older, and he was still just a problem and a headache because he just kind of what you were just saying, just doing what he did and just caught everything, used his body really well. And he would get so mad if I went low on him and hit him in his knees. He'd be like, hey, man, stay up. I'm like, dude, I don't want to play against you, all right? How about you not catch the ball? How about that?
Who was the other guy? Who was the biggest running back you tackled in the NFL? I'm trying to think like who it might.
So the actual size biggest is probably.
You didn't catch Jerome at the end of his career, did you?
No. Brandon Jacobs was bigger than Jerome Bettis, though. Well, Brandon Jacobs was.
Can you imagine Brandon Jacobs getting up and saying, "Hey, man, stay up high on me"?
No, I mean, the funny thing is, Brandon Jacobs has definitely ran me over. But I've definitely
you seen the video of him and his son?
Yeah. So I saw his son at an Under Armour camp the last couple of years right before, and he had another kid that was with his son in the same school. So he had the right tackle and the left tackle. I don't know how he was affording to feed these kids. His son is massive. His son was 6'7". The other kid that was living with him was just as big or bigger than his son at the time. So
they had a video of them both working out. This is the kid that's at Clemson. And
I saw him.
It was like Brandon working out next to this kid. And it basically looked like DJ Fluker next to me, and Brandon Jacobs was what, like 6'3", 255? I mean,
Yeah, every bit of it. Probably 6'4".
yeah. If you haven't seen that, you got to go find. I was just like,
I saw it.
God.
He's. I mean, it's massive. I will tell you this too, Cole. Because we never talk about my football, but the funniest guy that
working out next to him.
I'm telling you, he's a big kid. He was big like this when I saw him 2 years ago.
Mekhi Becton size. Like, God.
I saw him it was 2 years ago in Georgia. I saw him at an Under Armour camp. He was big then. And I saw Brandon. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, my son. And I was like, whoa, your son's huge. He's like, yeah, it's like massive kid. He was like a sophomore or junior. Massive kid.
Insane.
Massive. And he said he had another kid that was with him that was his teammate that Brandon and them had brought in because he didn't have a great home situation. So Brandon said, man, you can just stay with us. And so he's feeding both of these massive kids, dude. Massive kids. So, yeah, that was shout out to him for doing that. But It all paid off. Kellen Winslow Jr. is the funniest guy to ever cover. I know he has a checkered whatever he got through all into, but he just always made a whole bunch of noises and sounds and talked the whole game. Just like
I think that probably
nonstop.
surprises nobody. To be
he was like, he just made noises, just like all the time. And he's like, oh, I got you on that one. I'm like, dude, they didn't throw you the ball. He's like, yeah, but I got you though. I'm like, all right, bro. Nice. It was a lot. But this was like 4 quarters of just the whole game.
The whole thing. All right, I want to go through. I want to go through some of these SEC offenses, and you give like your description of defending it, because there are different perceptions from fans that I think are sometimes accurate and inaccurate, but just like through your lens, which for people who don't know is very different than how you watch football, because it's very different than how I watch football, and how I watch football is very different than how y'all watch football. So
yes,
let's start with Tennessee.
All right.
Because everybody, I think, just high-powered offense, throw the ball deep. Like, all you got to do is, like, just be able to cover man-to-man. They're going to chunk it. Like, or they go fast. You just got to get lined up. So, like, Tennessee's offense, take us through defense.
So here we go. So, I'm going to tell you, like, as soon as you name a team, I'm going to tell you first thing that comes to mind when I think about their offense. And then I'm going to tell you what I would try and do to stop it. Okay, so Tennessee. The first words that come to my mind is, like, Mickey Mouse, right? It's like this Mickey Mouse offense. It's not real compared to anything else that you're going to see.
But also rich and successful, and a lot of people like it.
Yes. Okay. Wide receiver. Yeah, and I call it Mickey Mouse because it's unlike anything you're going to see. It's not like real, because the wide receivers are spread from sideline to sideline. Nobody else does that, right? But it's really a run-first team. So they run the football. So you got to come into it, okay, how's my front looking? Can I stop their outside pass game with 1 high safety or 2 high safeties? Because you got to stop the run first. So can I stop the run with a 6-man box, which means 6 per people, versus their 6 guys, their 5 offensive linemen and the running back, but then you got to add in the quarterback too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like you automatically kind of don't have enough, right? So then I got to be able to cheat guys and really play double triangles on both sides. So I want to be able to cover every route with these 3 guys, and I'm going to cheat it one way or another, or I'm going to pick up a man in the run fit from outside when I want to do it. I want to dictate that. So then I have the line going one way to cheat to get another guy from one of the outside wide guys to make it 2 versus 2, and then still 3 over 2 on the other side. So trying to play that cat mouse game as much as possible, down in distance. And I need a really salty game up front. Like, we got to win up front. You got to get some games going, get guys knocked off. Don't let the running back just run downhill on you. You do that, you'll be successful.
I think Pete Golding told us a couple of years ago when we were talking about it, because they were playing, Utah State, and they had Tennessee like a couple weeks later. And I was like, does this help against them? And he's like, talking about defending it. He's like, I've gotten to a point now where I've just said, screw it. We're not playing this halfway shit anymore. Like, we're either going to play out and we're going to take away the quick throws, or we're going to play in and take away the run. He's like, I'm done with the half-ass, figure it out, make them think, do this, do that. He goes, because then my guys just get out of place. And then my guys don't make a play. He's like, at least out here, I know we're not going to make that play because we don't have enough guys. But by God, we're going to make that play in here because we got enough guys. He's like, so
that's it.
We just got past it. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense to me. All right, what about Ole Miss and Lane?
So Ole Miss is a team that, number one, they're a team that wants to beat you with the play action pass. They're a team that wants to have explosive, big plays, up and down, put up points type offense. And so it depends on personnel. I think Lane Kiffin will have some things that he will have in his repertoire, but Lane is a person that offensively they build the team around whatever the people that they got.
Yeah.
So I think they're a bag of tricks from year to year. I think this offense will look differently than what it's probably looked like in the past couple years. And so I think that is one special thing about Lane. I don't think you can just put Lane in a box and say, this is what they do. Tennessee, Heupel, this is what they do. You see what I'm saying? And then he tries to get pieces to go in there. I don't think Lane does that.
Lane had Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Who had like 138 targets. And then he had Derrick Henry, who had 395 carries. Like, I mean, when he had Elijah Moore at Ole Miss, I mean, motion to the backfield, line up in the backfield, out of backfield, slot, wide. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it just depends.
Yes, completely different bag of tricks. Lane's going to build it. So you got to wait till you see what you're going to get rolled out this year before you can say exactly what Ole Miss is going to look like offensively. You can try and guess, and they'll be able to. The big thing to me that's going to be consistent is play action. He wants downfield explosive plays. That's what Ole Miss wants.
But just like you said about Tennessee, to have play action, got to run the ball first. I mean, it can't be – nobody gives a shit about play action if the run game's not going. So.
And the thing about Tennessee's run game, play action, it's not really play action. Their receivers are just running routes. But like you said, that half and half stuff, guys are eyes in the backfield, but they ain't looking at the man.
I just meant the mindset that both these offenses are aired out all the time when they're both run-first offenses.
Yes, they are.
What they are. What about Sark in Texas? You brought up earlier. You and I have talked about it a bunch. He's told me motion-based matchup offense. Like, that's what he runs. And it takes a lot of things that you described as difficult and kind of jams them all into one.
Yeah, I would say for Texas, it's a cat and mouse game. They are a cat and mouse offense. They want to get you. They want to get you with the play action, the big shift. They'll have a motion, ride it, and then they'll swing a guy, but then they got somebody else coming from the other side to be a blocker, right? Like this, you just pick up an extra blocker because that's the cat and mouse game. They want to catch you. And so Texas is really good like that. Sark's very, very creative. He also has one or two plays every week that's just for you, that he's going to have it built up on, that he's going to show you something that you think it's this. He's going to show it to you, too. He wants you to see it. And you don't think it's this, but he's got something completely different. It's the cat and mouse game constantly for Texas if you want to really, for me, it'll be interesting to see what this offense looks like under Arch Manning versus what it has been under Quinn Ewers the last few years. First of all, they're going to run the football. They are a stretch zone run team. And so you got to be gap sound anytime you're going up against stretch zone teams, because if you don't ever make them pick the ball up, dude, they can haul off and get 220 yards on you real quick.
Yep.
You got to be gap sound. So we got to stop the run first when you play these zone stretch teams. So once you get that underhand, we got to have that salty front. And then from there, you got to understand that the cat and mouse games that Sark likes to play with the pass play. For me, I would tell you this. You got to play the long game when you're going up against Steve Sarkisian. He don't want the check down. He don't want that. You got to keep these guys in front of you, understand when the shots are going to come. In between the 40s is when Sark usually likes to call a shot after a turnover. He checks all those boxes. He's exactly, it's like, if people have characteristics, and Sark is not this at all, but it's just an easy example. Characteristics of a ego-driven or a narcissist person, The Sark fits the category, checks all the boxes of, the offensive coordinator that's quote unquote aggressive, wants to have the big shot play, wants everybody to see it. Lane has a lot of the characteristics too. But yeah, these guys, this is what they are.
I feel like Sark offensively is kind of how you described defenses earlier. He always has, it's like, all right, we're running outside zone, but there's going to be a splitter and there's going to be, an extra tight end that's blocking up front, or they're going to arc the tight end with the split, and then the receiver's going to crack down instead of, give you a runoff route. Like, there's always a but or a maybe or an and or an or, because like, look at Wisner this year. How many balls did he catch out of the backfield that ended up going for, or, how many times did the tight end catch a little ball in the flat and it turned into, 35 yards or whatever it was. So it's not that he might not want those check downs, but it's like he's not afraid to take them at the same time. So it's kind of wild.
And that's an extension of their run game as well. That's an extent. Those little flats, those little throws out, 100%. Like that is an extent. You got it. Texas does a great job of making teams, and that's how they ultimately beat Vandy too. They made you tackle in space. We recruit well enough and great athletes that are bigger, faster, and stronger than yours. We're going to put them in space and see if your boys can tackle them.
And I can remember the segment we did this on. We pointed this out, Texas, Georgia. We were like, Georgia won one-on-one
space tackle.
Space. That was it.
Yep.
Like, dump out to the back in the flat. Jalen Walker is the only dude within 30 yards. 2-yard gain.
That was the difference.
That was a 22-yard gain last week.
That was 20 yards last week. Yeah, that's the difference.
Yep.
Space 100%. Tackle. Yes.
All right. What about Hugh Freeze and Auburn? Like, what's tough? What do you kind of roll your eyes at? How would you defend it? What's troublesome?
So number one, I think Hugh and those guys still feature tempo. So old school tempo, you still got to be like on your P's and Q's. I want to get lined up. I don't care if we don't play but two defenses. You got to get lined up, number one. All right? As far as what I thought of Auburn as coming off of this, Auburn's got to take care of the football.
Yeah.
Right? Auburn's got to take care of the football. That's number one for Auburn. You got to take care of the football. When you guys took care of the football, you guys were in games. When you didn't take care of the football, you wasn't in games. Or you were winning the game and you gave it away to Oklahoma. Yeah. So, not sorry, Claude. I didn't mean to bring that back up. But
that's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
I didn't play a snap in that game, so we're good.
Yeah, man. Plus, you went to Auburn. Sometimes you guys you like misery. Sometimes it's just what it is.
I don't know about like it, but we learn to deal with it.
There we go. I just Auburn. I think tempo based, but like, man. It was really hard to see what they're trying to do at times because, the different quarterbacks, they try to play different styles. I think Hugh wants a running athletic quarterback that can run and throw the ball. They want to try and do some tempo, but also have the quarterback have some ability, some escapability. I think they got to get the running back. You got to get the quarterback more outlets too, where if you don't like this, quick decision, get it out. Right. They really struggled with that at times last year. And when they seem to be doing right, they get in the red zone and just throw, the 50-50 ball. I hate that call. And I know you recruit these guys and they're great. And Cam Coleman is whatever, but like, we got to just be more cohesive and be able to put together drives. And right now I'm looking at Auburn. I'm saying that can they put together drives and beat me? Sustain for 4 quarters, play solid offense, put together drives, complete passes, and all these other things. Right now, I don't think they can do it. And so that would be my thing is I want to make sure, be ready for tempo, cleats in the ground, ready to go. But then after that, I want to see if they can actually beat me by, me not messing it up.
All right, last one. I'll give you Florida, and a couple reasons. I know you love Lagway. You really did a really cool, I don't want to say comparison because I don't want people to think that you said that Lagway is going to be Cam Newton, but just you talk more about the personalities, and you only really played with one guy that everybody else rose to the occasion when he was on the field, and it was Cam. And probably we've all had those guys where like we're just trying to catch up to athletically and physically, and like we're just never going to be there, but you try harder to be that.
Yeah.
Like I played with Jaquil Spikes, and offensive line wise played with like Victor Riley. Like they did things I couldn't do, but you try to get to there. And so it makes you better. But also that offense, which is a little bit of Sark with some of the movement and some of the different alignments. But I mean, you'll get 12 personnel, single back, you'll get I formation. You get some traditional handoffs, like you get quarterback gets under center a little bit. So it's a little bit of a different offense, like maybe a little bit of West Coast, quarterback friendly with a lot of the heavy play actions. You got like old school bootlegs. Like I talked to Sark about that too. I'm like, you're like one of the 2 or 3 coordinators in big time college football. There's more than 2 or 3. But in the SEC, like the quarterback actually turns his back to the defense. Like, do you realize how foreign that is? And he was like, yeah, I love it. Yeah. He was like, I want to sell the defense, and he's handing the ball off.
There we go.
Like, if you can't take your eyes off the defense and come back and know where the ball's going to go, then you probably can't play for me. But Florida has a lot of that stuff too, like some of the old school stuff that can throw a defense off. How do you view that group? Not them so much this year, but just the offense in general.
Okay, so the first word that comes to my mind is pro style.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit.
Everything I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Pro style. So you're going to have more direct running back behind the quarterback. You're going to have some pistols, so you get downhill runs. You're going to have some underneath the center runs. You also get boot and what I call waggle. So boot is like when I fake it and you get all the way outside the other end of the pocket and you're pretty much naked. There's nobody block. That's what they call it, the naked bootleg. And then the waggle is when it's like a half roll. So you fake it one way and then you half boot, but you just move the pocket a little bit. Yeah, you don't go all the way.
I remember,
stop.
I always thought, maybe this was just our play in high school, we had a tight end waggle where it was like a delayed tight end. He would like block, and then he'd come flat across the line of scrimmage, and then he'd be open over here in the flat, or he would kind of turn into a wheel. Did y'all not reference that as a waggle route? Like, is that not called that?
No, that's not what we call it. But I mean, it's like if it's like a wheel, it's just a wheel. If it's just a tight end delay, it's just a wheel.
He's on the right side, and he would like block, and then he kind of works his way across the line of scrimmage. You can dump it to him there, or he can work his way upfield if he has to. Like, that's a waggle. Texas,
no, so we call it waggle, like play action waggle.
I need to find out what the half roll is called, because we just called that a half roll. We didn't call that a waggle.
Yeah,
but
we call it a waggle.
Offenses call things different things. Like that's what's
totally all the time.
Yeah.
Tomato, not whatever.
That's what it is.
So that's what I just like Florida especially with Lagway, man. Like he unlocks a lot of things for them. The deep ball's up. Like you don't have a lot of quarterbacks where a wide receiver's 40 yards, 50 yards down the field. And as a defensive back, you still got to turn your jets on because this quarterback can throw it 65.
Right.
And so the wide receiver, he's still in play. And so you still got to be on your horse. And not only that, but it was accurate throws at 60, 65 yards down the field. And so that gives you an element offensively that not every quarterback gives you the ability to be able to do that. Where you, especially in that type of offense, where you will have motions or some guys over there and they can kind of walk off and delay or go, if they're running over out here, get to this hash mark and be able to break it back really deep over here. The DB, once he gets over here, it's like he's going that way. Well, this quarterback can get you to here, break it back that way and be able to throw it 45, 50 yards. If I'm making a break down the field at 30-something yards and run into an open area because nobody else is here, like that's a really good throw. A lot of quarterbacks can't make it, and he can just drop it in a bucket. He can do that. So it just opens a lot of things up. But he has to be healthy, though.
No doubt.
He's still, as great as he is, he has not been healthy. We cannot forget that. And that's going to be another really, really big, important thing for Florida this year will be DJ Lagway's health. He has to be healthy.
All that, the pro-style alignments and some of the traditional run plays, does that make it that much harder to cover because your brain is probably going more towards this going to be a downhill run? Or like you said, stretch play, like I got to worry about this play hitting backside B gap, outside the front side tackle. Like does all of that make just regular coverage more difficult because it makes you think about all that other stuff more often?
It does completely. And also in college, the offensive lineman can be 3 yards down the field and they can still throw it.
We like to cheat.
It's a real thing where, NFL terms,
the guys in the red zone when it's like, the tight end catches the ball, and then the guard like comes and celebrates with him a second later because he was like already down there.
He's right there. Yeah,
sorry.
It's a real thing here, where the offensive lineman get to go down the field, and then we can throw it too. So yes, it does make it hard, especially against these. The That's why I like when teams are under the center or sometimes a pistol formation, and when you turn your back to the defense, because that really affects the defense thinking that it is run. So
Yeah.
you naturally have to come down the hill, especially with the offensive line being able to come downfield. You have to respect that. You have to. But it's just harder to do in college because of that. So I would have guys just play a little bit looser, and I'm just going to give up the 3 and 4 yard run.
Always check out my friends at Rowback. Had them on all weekend. Had the Rowback bathing suit. I think you can see this one right here. Bam. It is Rowback every time. Rowback is the best, most comfortable t-shirts you're ever going to see. I love Rowback. I love my Rowback shirts. I had Rowback bathing suits on this weekend. I have a Rowback bucket hat on this weekend because the sun, it was hot. Got a little bit too much sun this weekend for the 4th of July. Use promo code COLE20. Save 20% on your first order right there at Rowback. Rowback.com. They got the best gear. The hoodies are amazing. They have when you get to fall and the weather cools off, these big, thicker hoodies they got, it's the best I've ever had. They have workout shorts. They have dress shorts. They have polos. They have quarter zips. Rowback.com. They even have belts, t-shirts, workout t-shirts. They got it all. Rowback.com. Promo code COLE20 and save 20% on your first order. Tell them you heard about them on Cube Show. Anybody else in the league that you're like excited to watch play this year from like a DB standpoint or just overall defense? We've mentioned a bunch of dudes.
That I'm excited to see offensively?
No, defense. Guys on defense. Like, I don't know, Eli Bowen or Kip Lewis at Oklahoma. I'm trying to think of some DBs that are coming back that you might be excited about. Like, I don't know, maybe Taff at Texas coming back. Like, who are some guys you're looking forward to watching this year
I think Taff's a good player. I'll be interested to see what he does now that he doesn't have all these killers around him. Texas has less killers
off the edge, though. They're going to have the best edge rush in the college football, probably.
Mm-hmm. Might be right about that, but it's still more to it. Last year they were deep. You're right. They were super deep, and the secondary was great. They had a great secondary. That Makuba kid came over from Clemson, instant impact. And he was a small kid, but he was really smart. They communicated extremely well. They also lost their pass game coordinator to the New Orleans Saints. He's the defensive back coach too now. So, it's a lot of things that may look a little bit differently, and sometimes we overlook those things. So I'll be interested to see how he does by himself back there, manning down that secondary.
But KJ Bolden, Georgia, was he as good as people said last year?
For a freshman, I thought he did decent, Dan Williams was still the most productive safety they had. That's the one nobody likes to talk about, but he was the most productive. I care about what I saw on tape.
You talked about him on Monday nights for sure.
Yeah, I talk about what I see on tape. I thought Malachi Starks was decent at times, but they also had him playing nickel and doing some other stuff. So I'll be excited. Look, this is what I want to see. I want to see a couple defenses this year, and I think everybody's got some question marks or where they're trying to be at. How does Tennessee bounce back? Because defensively, they got to be something, because I don't know how this quarterback's going to be early on. And, Tennessee has a little bit of expectations. They ain't trying to go that far back. Ole Miss, they loaded up everything for last year's team that was supposed to make the playoffs. I guarantee they make the playoffs. And just like every time I trust a Mississippi team, they let me down. So that did not happen.
Our Monday night clip of "I was wrong, Cole" that we had.
that was it. That was a great time. Brad would have had it lined up. I was wrong, Cole. Okay, and I want to see what Alabama does. All right, Kane Womack and this defense, they got to be better. When Alabama needs them to be better. I think Alabama needs Alabama to be better when Alabama needs it to be better. That'd be another team that I'm looking forward to. Can Oklahoma continue to be that team? I know I'm anticipating they'll be better up front this year, but they got to better put some pieces together, and they got to keep guys healthy on the offensive side. It's a lot of question marks out there. And a lot of people think Oklahoma could be a sleeper team. That's fine. I could totally see it, but they got to stay healthy.
I'm with you, but it's like everybody else. A lot still has to happen. Like John McNear, quarterback from Washington State, his offensive coordinator, Deion Burks, healthy at receiver. Like, they could be incredible on offense, but it's still got to come together. I mean, we mentioned
who's running the ball.
We mentioned.
I know Florida. They got the one from Cal.
Yeah, Jaden Ott, he's big time. But we mentioned Florida, Lagway. I think Jaden Ball has the chance to be the best running back in the league, but you still got to figure it all out. And you got to play at all three levels of the defense. We've got to be good, not just the D line. So
Yep.
I'm with you. I
Yep.
think there's a lot of these sort of mid-level teams that could win 9, could win 6 or 5.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be fun to figure out.
I can't wait to see what Auburn does too. I think Auburn's another team that takes a step forward. But what is that, right? Like, are Auburn fans happy with 7 wins or 8 wins?
Against that schedule too. It's kind
right,
of
right. It's a tough.
Year. Like Florida last year, like you win 7 or 8, like that's a pretty damn good year. But Florida fans aren't going to be happy with it. I mean,
you know what I mean? Are Auburn fans going to be happy with 7 wins?
Yeah, I'm going to say probably not. But
yeah, okay, I agree with you. If I had a vote, I would say no.
But they have a chance. The line should be really good. The receivers are super talented. The thing I keep saying, Roman, is, and you saw it with him last year, like the quarterback's got to be reset. Like he needs to be rewired. And if Jackson Arnold's not, then it'll be limited still. And it won't. I mean, to unlock that offense, he's got to start over. And that they got to find his confidence, man. And like I do, you don't just inject that into a quarterback. Like that just doesn't happen,
No, you don't. And I need you to take it on the chin too every now and then. Like you can't throw the quarterback under the bus when we're already trying to repair and mend his heart. You know what I'm saying, Cole?
Yeah.
I just got to dive on the sword this time, Hugh.
I'm used to taking the blame for everything.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Quarterbacks aren't. Cole, quarterbacks, they're used to the
just
love.
Like safeties, when they give up a deep pass, it's always your fault. So
always my fault. We're not going to talk about the D tackle that got blown out of his gap. Nobody even saw that, right? Not even worried about that. And I'm just in chase mode, right? Just diving.
All right, man. This was fun. We need to do this more often. What brand is your hat? What is the hat we rocking?
Oh, that's Puma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
Are you like a Ricky Fowler guy on the course?
Yeah, man. Dude, I play with
oldest
Rick.
Teenager on earth.
He's got a little stash now, bro. He does look a little bit older. Yeah.
Does he still wear like neon head to toe?
Not all the time. I think just on his Sundays. He goes Oklahoma. Oklahoma
How many majors
State.
does he have?
I don't think any.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I don't think any. But hey, man, I'm working at my game, bro. I can't even worry about them.
Man.
No doubt, bro. Be good, dog. We'll talk later. Thanks,
You're
Cole.
in the 90s. You're good. You're good.
Dude, I'm trying to get better,
those
bro.
Par 5s cleaned up. And you're good.
Dude,
that's
doubles on par 5s. It's like my end. All right, bro. Bye.